and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news. We're broadcasting live, and then we're available on demand. And we're available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple Television, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, and of course, YouTube and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Monday, December 12th, 2022. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Well, we begin tonight's evening news broadcast by querying up breaking news. Miami Beach Pride 2023 Grand Marshals are announced. Miami Beach Pride has announced tonight its Celebrity Grand Marshals for the 2023. Celebrating the celebration's 15th anniversary, gay actor Jonathan Bennett and husband James Vaughn are slated to lead the Pride Festival and Parade April 15 and 16. Bennett made history last year as the first gay character on a Hallmark Channel holiday movie, and this year returns to the channel in The Holiday Sitter, the channel's first Christmas film focused on a gay couple. Vaughn has hosted Celebrity Page and competed on a season of Amazing Race with a fellow Chippendale employee. Together, the couple also co-host iHeartRadio's Pridecast and co-founded the Outbound Travel Company. They will be joined by other Grand Marshals that will be announced in the coming weeks, and continuing in the theme of growing stronger together. Legendary queer entertainer Sandra Bernhardt was previously announced as the host of Miami Beach Pride's VIP Beach Affair. Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network are major media sponsors, and Queer News Tonight will again broadcast the parade to the nation on Roku and Apple Television. Big news, I was just reading about this Christmas film. I'm looking forward to...
What is it, The Holiday Sitter?
The Holiday Sitter, yeah. I believe it started yesterday at Hallmark in rotation. I'm looking forward to seeing it, mostly because like at Netflix, I've gotten into this channel of all of these holiday movies, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm liking it, and I just can't believe I'm liking it.
You're getting all emotional at your old age, Al. What's going on?
Right, exactly. And having them come very topical in terms of their representation for Miami Beach Pride, and exciting. And also, it's nice here in the first days of December, at the end of 2022, to think ahead about all of the big Pride festivals and events that are coming. Miami Beach being among the top of the list.
They are adorable, okay? And what a great addition they will be to Miami Beach Pride this year. And I'm super excited about Sandra Bernhardt. I mean, that's the lesbian everybody loves, right? And she uses olive oil or something, because that bitch don't age, right? So I'm really excited. These boys are adorable. They're gonna look fantastic at the beginning of this parade, you know? I'm excited to see who else they announce, because, you know, Miami Beach, they bring it. You know, so I can't wait for the people of color that they end up inviting over to be part of the person, right?
Did anybody watch NYC, the Ryan Murphy American Horror Story?
Of course.
Sandra Bernhardt was excellent in it. She was just
hot, and she was great in Pose. I mean, it's just like she pops up and you forget that she's in these incredible shows, right?
She's a great camera.
She's a vampire.
She's a vampire. Yeah.
Incredible player.
Right. Well, let's continue. I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson, and this evening we're going to bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform and in the television and radio model of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ plus community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspot Magazine's Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 37 years of the LGBTQ plus experience And our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Well, let's begin by welcoming anchor FayWhat. She's a radio and television personality and has a popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and the G together. She's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, an animal advocate, and owner of Fay's Fur Family. Also, make sure to catch the FayWhat Show, the first LGBTQ+ morning show, Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern, online, or of course your smart TV. And recently, did you hear? Faye won the SFGN Best Local Television Personality for 2022. Good evening, Faye.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And look, and if you missed my show this morning, you can catch it anytime on demand. We had the very gorgeous and handsome Mr. Gabe Salazar. He was in bed with me from the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, and he was talking all about their Christmas concert that's coming up at the Hard Rock. Also, we had in bed with us Miss Bouvier. If you're local, you know that she's a national incredible entertainer, and she's also got a holiday murder mystery coming to town in Wilton Manors that will definitely sell out. They were both in bed with me this morning. Definitely you want to catch those interviews. It was a lot of fun.
Which one was better in bed?
Miss Bouvier.
Ooh. And she's also got a movie coming.
She's also got a movie out, and I'm trying to get a part in there, Al, so that's why I said she was better.
Oh, yeah.
God, I could look at Gabe forever. He's just too pretty, too.
Yeah, he's just too pretty.
Right? And that hair, like I saw in the morning, at 8 in the morning, Al, his hair was still perfect. How does that happen? My hair was every which way but fine.
Wait, I got to say, we have to say one more thing about this because there's lots of gay boys that are trying to get in bed with you. Hello, Mr. Starks. It's interesting because I heard when he did this, I heard from two different people that he came in his pajamas. He came here in his pajamas.
He did. I'm like, you didn't sleep. You didn't come right from bed. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Your hair is perfect and those pajamas are pressed. Yeah. Okay? There's no way that people use starch on their pajamas. Gay boys, all right?
Only at Happening Out Television and only on the FayWhat Show.
Oh, yes. And another person that I love being in bed with, let's welcome anchor Jamaal L. Starks. Jamaal is a rare Miami native, also known affectionately as Porcelain Baby. Look at that skin. What? As a spiritual wellness consultant, he's an active member of the yogi community through the first and only queer yoga club, Miami. He's positioned as vice president of Impulse Chapter Miami, a member of the ballroom community through the House of Gorgeous Gucci, and they are gorgeous and they are Gucci. A professional background boasting a 16-year aviation career that led him to oversee the flight operations of 2 major airlines, and a 17-year HIV plus thriver. He's dedicated himself to lead by example that Black queer individuals are inherently worthy of living safe, healthy, and abundantly thriving lives without social conditioning. Welcome back, Jamaal. Love to have you.
Oh, I'm going to jump in before he says a word. All right, so tell us now, Faye, who was better in bed, Gabe or Jamaal?
Jamaal, all day, every day. Okay. All day, every day.
Gabe is...
Bring Gabe.
We'll kick to the curb.
We'll have a great time together in bed.
Oh. Don't throw me out of bed, okay? What's there in bed?
The right answer, Faye, was no. I want Gabe and Jamaal at the same time. Yeah. That was the
right. Well, I mean, we did finally get out of bed and
what are we talking about?
Well, I do want you to know, Faye, that gay boys are not the only ones that want to be in bed. We have lesbians that also want to be in bed.
Jamal, smack down. Smack down. Because I happen to know Faye likes that.
Well, let's welcome anchor Grace C. Lopez, who serves on the Miami-Dade County LGBTQ Advisory Board and is the former executive director of the Aqua Foundation for Women. She has served on many boards for organizations whose mission are close to her heart. She was the first Hispanic president of the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation of Miami and Fort Lauderdale, is the founder of Women for Paws and Women Against Borders as well. As the CEO and founder of I Manage Law Firms, where she helps lawyers manage their business. Welcome, Grace.
Hey, y'all. And speaking of Women for Paws, this Wednesday at the Art House in Wynwood is Yappy Hour, the first Yappy Hour for Women for Paws, and I hope to see you there. Let's support our gay bars.
Can we bring the dog?
Absolutely.
Yay!
This is a Yappy Hour not a happy hour. So please bring your yappies with you.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because if you couldn't bring your dogs, yappy means a whole.
You would think like that. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 8 books, including his latest, Fear of Muses, an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ+ and mainstream publications and websites. His movie review column called Screen Saver can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Good evening to everyone. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the Queer News for today, Monday, December 12th, 2022. And I want to wish you all a happy National Ding-a-ling Day.
Wait.
On which we are
what?
Happy National Ding-a-ling Day, on which we are encouraged to reconnect with those people that we don't speak
Oh,
to
that's
very
what you think, ding-a-ling.
Oh,
Yes, but it's not to be confused with National Harding-a-ling Day, on which we observe the downfall of Don't Say Gay Bill architect Joe Harding.
You know, that's funny. I was going a whole different way on ding-a-ling.
Me too! You'll have to tell me later.
There was
All
a
right.
song when I was kid,
Wait,
My Ding-a-ling.
think about it.
Berry,
Yes.
Chuck Berry,
My ding-a-ling, my
That's
ding-a-ling.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah,
of.
that's what I was thinking too.
Okay.
All right, let's begin. Let's begin first by querying up South Florida and Florida. Prideline's Gala success as executive director Victor Diaz Herman shocks audience in announcing his retirement. The gay community can be very sensitive to age issues, especially when you use the number 40. It can be drama and trauma-filled. But that was not at play this weekend when Pridelines celebrated their 40th anniversary with the Queer of Hearts Masquerade Ball. South Florida's oldest LGBTQ+ direct services agency held the star-studded event at the posh Coral Gables Country Club in Miami. The theme was a whimsical nod to the times we are living in. After all, this was the first direct face-to-face fundraising event since pandemic began in January 2020 for Pridelines. The Alice in Wonderland theme invites you to come down the rabbit hole and experience the importance of Prideline's world. Pridelines is home of the LGBTQ+ Community Center of Miami-Dade County, and one of its strongest and most important programs is for LGBTQ+ youth. The Masquerade Gala had multiple speakers talking about the efforts of the organization and how it is so vital to the levels of attack that are underway in Florida. A touching and motivational moment was when Executive Director Victor Diaz Herman, an anchor here at Queer News Tonight, moved the audience of the attacks coming from the State House to the Governor's Mansion. He advised the large crowd that the gala was short about $30,000 from their goal, and he began a humorous challenge to help. In increments of $500 to $3,000, the total was raised in less than 10 minutes. Queer of Hearts was supported by many sponsors, including Jim Terrell and Roger Thompson, AHF, JP Morgan, Chase, Gilead, One Medical, DLA Piper, Janssen, Johnson & Johnson, Ryder, Bacardi, Avita, Truist, Williamson Cadillac, and of course, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. A very poignant moment occurred when 15-year executive director Diaz Herman announced in tears he would be leaving his post and a national search would begin and be underway. He is the vice president of the famous Worth Media Group that includes Recommend Magazine. He will return to full-time service for his family business. Both his mother and grandmother, who run the business, were present and pledged sizable donations for his $30,000 final challenge. On behalf of everyone here at Queer News Tonight, we congratulate Pridelines for their incredible role of enhancing and valuing our LGBTQ+ youth And especially congratulations to Victor Diaz Herman for his decades-long service to the LGBTQ plus community. It was a fun evening. I was there. You see the picture, we're showing it, of the real character, which was Faye, in a blonde wig.
Do blondes have more fun?
I look good, by the way.
It was awesome. People were like, I went up to Todd Del May and he was like, what? Like, he just was like, what is going on? You're blonde. It was so much fun to be Alice. And what a beautiful space that country club is.
Beautiful.
Oh my God, it was so gorgeous. And I love that a lot of people brought their moms to this beautiful gala. We were blessed to sit at Dan Rios' table, and Dan also brought his mom. And I just thought that was so beautiful and touching. But you know who was super emotional the whole night? Victor.
Yeah.
Like, even before he got on the stage, he was already sniffling. Like, you could just tell. I mean, that's his baby. 15 years out.
15 years. The country club was just right down the street from the Biltmore Hotel, very famous landmark in Coral Gables. It's the first time I've been to the Pridelines Gala, and it was interesting to me because its specialization is for LGBT youth, and to do a black tie masquerade ball for LGBT youth, I thought was interesting, but it was bittersweet. Victor speaking and talking about what he's doing. He's leaving on the 23rd for 6 months. He's going to go on sabbatical for 6 months with his husband. He's going to Mount Tremblant, an hour and a half north of Montreal, to spend Christmas and New Year's, and then they're going to be traveling all over Europe for 6 months, and when they come back, the installation of the new executive director, and he returns to being full-time at Worth Media, and we certainly thank him for all of the efforts. Prideline is really important, and I also remind everybody, the reason why this was important is our 501c3s, I know all of us here are involved in 501c3s in one way or another, they took it on the chin.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing the wounds starting to heal in December of 22. It's been a really tough couple of years since the pandemic began in January of 2020. So it's lovely to see something like this because it's so deserved, and people should enjoy themselves, and they should get out and have fun, even if you're wearing a blonde wig.
Hey! And it had been their first big fundraiser, like you said, since the beginning of COVID. That's been years, folks.
Yes.
Oh, and you know one other person that we should recognize? It's called FayWhat. Teresa Watt.
Oh, yes.
She came as
the rabbit.
the rabbit.
Yeah.
He looked
Complaining
amazing.
about that hat every second of the way.
And when she turned around, I put a cottontail on her. She didn't even notice that. Oh, let me tie this up. Yeah, no problem. Let me put a tail on you, damn it.
Yeah,
So there was the hair and the hair.
Yeah, America's learning how difficult it is to be standing next to or sitting next to FayWhat.
Like you? Like you do?
Where did Faye go? Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Victor,
Pridelines.
Seriously, and Pridelines. Yep.
Well, let's queer up education. Broward school member fights criticism over welcoming Proud Boys. A new Broward school board member is being denounced by civil rights groups, LGBTQ plus leaders, and 2 of her fellow board members after saying she welcomes support from all kinds of groups, even the far-right Proud Boys. Brenda Pham, who was elected in November to a seat in the Weston and Davie area, posted the comment on Facebook on Thursday morning. She was responding to criticism over her speaking about sex trafficking at a recent rally on A1A in Fort Lauderdale that featured anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric by some participants and an appearance by the uniformed members of the Proud Boys, which several civil rights groups have identified as an extremist hate group. She wrote, quote, "If you support my cause to protect the children, you are welcome to stand next to me," end quote. The Anti-Defamation League identifies the Proud Boys as a right-wing extremist group with a violent agenda. They are primarily misogynistic, Islamophobic, transphobic, and anti-immigration. A statement from ADL said, quote, ADL Florida was profoundly disturbed to learn that Broward County School member Brenda Pham spoke at a rally in her public capacity organized by organizations engaging in anti-LGBTQ plus extremism, end quote. At least 2 of FAM's fellow school board members said they were shocked and alarmed by FAM's participation in the rally and her Facebook comments. Wow. What I really want to know is, are they trying to conflate pedophilia and sex trafficking with the homosexual?
There's no question.
There's no question at all.
None.
Of course.
Zero.
That was my first inquiry on this, because you're trying to save the children. No, but
it's that rhetoric, it's that verbiage that gets everybody in trouble, that is so dangerous to us. So she put on Facebook, if going to a rally, okay, and she didn't just go, she spoke at this rally, so let's be clear about that, right? She wrote on her Facebook, if going to a rally entitled Protect the Children, carrying a sign that states grooming leads to sex trafficking is offensive, then so be it. So she's standing behind everything that she did, not even saying I'm sorry or I didn't know or anything like that, just plain and simple saying I did what I did and what. And you know, and they, it's you know, they're trying to tell us protect the children, and that's what people see first, and that's what they follow, and that's what they believe that they're doing. You know, but they're being bamboozled. Right. They're being lied to.
Do you know what Webster's word of the year? Have you heard what the word of the year is?
What?
The word of the year for is gaslighting.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's gaslighting is the word of the year
Oh my God.
for the most important wordsmith organization in the world. And that's exactly what you just repeated, what she's doing. She's gaslighting.
So wasn't the children, wasn't that Anita Bryant's catchphrase? So she's just taking a page from that loser.
Gaslighting. You know, and by the way, she repeats in terms of save the children process, gaslighting. It is a complete lie. Brenda Pham, you should be ashamed of yourself as a school board, an elected official for Broward County School Board. You should be ashamed of yourself for showing up at that rally. You are gaslighting the lie of what you're trying to suggest. And you know who else does exactly what she did? Tucker Carlson. Exactly. Now, let's make sure that we connect the dots here. This rally that she spoke at was at A1A and US 1. That intersection out to Las Olas and A1A out at the beach. Speaking at it was the Proud Boys, which is a hate group, has been identified as one of the principal organizations that organized and helped propel the January 6th, the Proud Boys. Wow. It is organizing an anti-LGBT rally of all kinds of messaging against the LGBTQ community, and it included a second organization, which was a gay organization of Gays Against Groomers, which is an ultra-right terrorism group that is designed to say that gay people are bad, and we can get away with it because we say we're gay people. And the 3 gay people that are members of Gays Against Groomers are participating. Then the trifecta of organizations is Mom and Apple Pie of Moms for Liberty, which is another ultra-right organization designed to gaslight and say, we want to protect our children and bake pies, and that is what makes democracy work. And it is a lie. It's a lie. All 3 organizations coming together to gaslight the exact same lie. Okay, they can do it, they can do it, they can do it. America's about free speech. We hate it, but you can do it. But now an elected school board official supports it and speaks. You should be ashamed. And I'm telling you, you're very likely going to suffer in the polls in your next election if you make it that far. Because
but don't you think we're going to be seeing more of Brenda Vampire and people like her on Florida school boards while DeSantis is in power?
24 direct campaigns for Moms for Liberty, DeSantis funded in the state of Florida. People like Brenda Pham. Ron DeSantis is behind it because they want control of the school board to implement the policies that he wants to do. Brenda Pham, you should be ashamed of your participation in that and not reject the Proud Boys. Because you know who else did not reject the Proud Boys? Donald Trump did the exact same thing. And by the way, I'm just going to take a broad swipe at West Broward. West Broward is the place that our Debbie, very loved Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz is dealing with in West Hollywood, of all of the anti-Semitic language that is going on, and all of the spray paint, and all of the hate speech that is going on in West Broward. She's representing that in the school board.
Right? Weston and
Davie. Connect all of the dots. You're gaslighting, Brenda Pham. Don't tell us you support the children. You hate the children. You want what you want for power and money.
Brenda Pham, you ain't fam.
No.
We're moving along. Next up, queer up LGBTQ plus civil rights. 3 South Florida Republicans flip and vote no on same-sex marriage. Nearly 5 months ago, Florida Republicans were split over a bill that would write same-sex marriage into federal law and protect interracial marriages. 6 GOP members from the state voted for the bill when it came up in July, just a few months before they were all on the 2022 ballot. Fast forward to Thursday, and the number dropped to 3. Kat Kamek, Carlos Jimenez, and Michael Waltz voted along with the majority of the House, including all Florida Democrats, on Thursday to send the measure to President Joe Biden, who is expected to sign it into law. The 3 Republicans who flipped were Representatives Mario Diaz-Balart, Brian Mast, and Maria Elvira Salazar. When she voted for the bill the first time, Salazar was one of the only Republicans in the state who had a potentially tough re-election battle ahead of her. She won by more than 14 points over Annette Tadeo. In a statement, Salazar defended her post-election turnabout by contending the legislation lacked adequate protections for religious institutions, saying, quote, "I am disappointed to see the final House version of the Respect for Marriage Act did not include full protections for churches and Americans with sincerely held religious beliefs. I voted for the first version of the bill because I believed in human dignity and respect for all individuals. However, we cannot pass laws that advance one interest and bypass long-held legal protections for others." End quote. I'm a journalist, so I will read that nicely. I can't stand Maria Salazar. I really can't. Look, she is the epitome of a lying political person, okay? I mean, she's screaming, communist, communist this, and I'm anti-Fidel. Well, if you look back about like 10 years ago, she sat down with Fidel Castro and had an interview with him where she called him an incredible teacher. All right, and then now she runs for office, and it's quite different story that she's portraying. She's a liar.
To try to suggest that Tadeo is socialist.
Yes,
exactly.
Well, to her credit, at least Salazar didn't shed crocodile tears like Vicky Hartzler of Missouri, who then, of course, got her comeuppance and her gay nephew went after her.
You know, we were just talking about gaslighting. Salazar's vote and Salazar's explanation is gaslighting. Oh, I was really supportive, and I voted the first time around because she knew it was going to pass the House anyway. So I really wanted to show support for the LGBTQ community and my respect for marriage, etc., and so on. When she wins her House re-election race, now she's safe for another 24 months, and now the gaslighting in terms of how she's going to justify her no vote kicks in. And when she votes no, she makes the justification it didn't continue to protect church in America. There was fundamentally no change in the House bill that she voted for and the post bill in conference from the Senate and the House. There was functionally no change in it.
Wow.
So now she justifies, wait, because it doesn't protect religion, I have to vote no.
But I want to know.
That is gaslighting, because it's a lie.
It's a lie.
What is the protection she would like in the clause?
She would like religion to say
we don't have to marry you.
Anything, nothing to do with gay marriage. And it does fundamentally move in those directions in terms of saying you can't abridge religious liberty for the Respect for Marriage Act. But the important thing here is that she's gaslighting the idea that she voted one way before her election, she votes a different way after the election and justifies, well, we didn't do this. Well, you voted for almost the exact same thing the first time. It's only now your election is over. That tells you everything that you need to know about Salazar. But beyond all of that, which is terrible, we won.
Hello.
Respect for marriage.
We did.
And by the way, I'm very excited to say it will be signed tomorrow at 3:30 on the South Lawn. President Biden is making sure his, I was going to make a joke, older ass of the President of the United States is going to get out on that South Lawn in the cold tomorrow with a very large crowd to say, we're celebrating respect for marriage, and he's going to sign it very publicly. And we're very happy that Todd and Jeff Del May will be reporting for Queer News Tonight on the South Lawn tomorrow at the White House as we watch this historic event live. And one of the things that is really great about that is just a reminder in terms of the importance of them reporting for Queer News Tonight. They've been on Queer News Tonight as anchors many times. But the reason it's important is in 2014, Todd and Jeff Del May were the marriage test of the lawsuit that went to the Florida Supreme Court, and marriage unconstitutional was the prohibition of marriage was deemed unconstitutional in the state of Florida, with Todd and Jeff Del May as the plaintiffs. And now they are going to be reporting on the South Lawn in historic news that it's the first time that federal law codifies gay or same-sex marriage protection. An incredible moment.
We will be celebrating tomorrow.
Tomorrow we will be celebrating.
For sure. No matter where we are. Yeah. Now let's queer up politics. Florida lawmaker who created Don't Say Gay bill resigns after indictment on fraud charges. A Florida state representative behind the parental rights and education bill, dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill by critics, announced his resignation after he was indicted of wire fraud, money laundering, and making false statement charges. A federal grand jury in the Northern District of Florida returned a 6-count indictment against Joseph Harding, who is accused of scheming to defraud the Small Business Administration and obtaining COVID-19 related loans on false pretenses, the Department of Justice announced Wednesday. Harding, 35, allegedly sought economic injury disaster loans using the names of shuttered business. He further alleged to have obtained falsified bank statements for one of the dormant businesses to obtain more than $150,000 in funds that the SBA. Harding was charged with 2 counts on wire fraud, 2 counts of engaging in monetary transactions with funds derived from unlawful activity, and 2 counts of making false statements to the SBA. Harding announced his resignation from the Florida House effective immediately on Thursday, a day after pleading not guilty to all charges in federal court. In a statement, Harding said he cannot comment on the details of his case, though he added that he has repaid every penny of the loan and has obtained, I have done my best to cooperate fully with all authorities. Unbelievable.
No way.
Truly.
People that hate LGBTQ plus are criminals? No way.
Very believable.
No way.
Unbelievable.
You know, it's interesting to me because constantly I'm trolled. I know, shock. But constantly I'm trolled by radical evangelicals and Republicans. Radical. I'm talking about the radical end. And they always bring Hunter Biden up to me. Always. Always. And my answer is always, if Hunter Biden did whatever it is that is being suggested, investigate him. Let the Department of Justice get right into it, because if Hunter Biden's done something wrong, he should be prosecuted. Period, the end. Yep. That always takes all the wind out of their sail. Because then I turn to Joseph Harding and say, this doesn't look so good. And look at the hate that this guy has propelled in Florida and what he did. He gets caught red-handed here. And this is a really bad moment for him because he would fight through. Matt Gaetz, which I think is just among the greatest of Hillary Clinton's deplorables basket, he's among the worst. But he's still fighting. He didn't resign. He's fought all the way through. He probably is going to lose, but he's fought every step of the way. Harding collapses like a house of cards, which means, oh my, is it bad for him.
And pleads not guilty.
And pleads not guilty.
And do you think he's going to be making raising the funds on his OnlyFans page?
That's funny. You know, one other thing that I think is really important here is this issue might not digest to us, but there's an LGBT business in Miami, or there's an LGBT business in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in reddish of red, that really needed those kind of SBA funds that didn't get qualified because here's $150,000 that was stolen away. That's the consequence here of why this story is important to LGBT, because this guy takes money away from LGBT possibilities of SBA funding and at the exact same time is destroying our kids in our schools.
Yep.
Sorry for you, Mr. Harding. And I used Mr. because you're no longer a public official, because you resigned and quit.
And now we're going to queer up the worldview. Indonesia bans gay sex using extramarital sex law, including tourists.
For a year and a half.
It's important that
this law provides an avenue for extortion, for difficult families, parents having LGBT children and want their children to be quote unquote normal, and then use this mechanism to revenge or to raise their anger against their own children. So this is the danger of this law. It is toxic. It won't be enforced broadly. But if you have problems, then there are mechanisms to bring this very private matter into the public domain.
Indonesia's new laws criminalizing premarital sex and cohabitation cannot be broadly enforced due to the sheer population size of the world's third largest democracy, said an analyst. According to researcher Andreas Harsono, the toxic revised bill, however, provides an avenue for extortion and revenge by family members who disagree with a person's lifestyle or choice of partner. Under the new law, people who have sex outside of marriage or cohabit can be reported to the police, but only by immediate family members, such as parents, spouses, and children. Harsono said, quote, "This law provides an avenue for extortion for parents with LGBT children who want them to be so-called normal. They can use this law in revenge or to raise their anger against their own children. This is the danger of this law. It is toxic. If you have problems, then this is a mechanism to bring a very private matter into the public domain," end quote. The law applies to both Indonesians and foreigners alike and will come into effect in 3 years' time. The punishment for premarital sex will be a maximum of 1 year in jail or a fine of US $640. Cohabitation will bring 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 10 million rupiahs. Indonesia, we have to remember this, has the world's largest Muslim population. So there's really nothing that surprising about this. However, if it does come down to tourist dollars, well, we know there are places that we can spend them where we're more welcome.
Oh, well, let me jump right in. Don't go to Indonesia.
Right?
Right.
Don't.
Why?
Right.
Yeah, me and my wife have an understanding that, like, if we're in another country, I'm not married, right? So, what? Don't look at me like that. And so I was like, okay, man, maybe Indonesia would be a good way to go. Hell to the no. I'm not going nowhere near there. I mean, what is wrong with them? And so you guys have 3 years to divorce, folks, okay? In 3 years, this law is going to pass. You know, and I'm always taken back to when I first came out. My mom wasn't a big supporter. We're still working through that. I can see her calling it in. You know, I could see her calling it in because of religious reasons, okay? And so that is crazy that other folks, that LGBTQ plus folks in Indonesia would be subjected to something like that.
We share that experience because my mom, child, yeah, she would call. Did
you say child?
I don't acknowledge that lady. She was my transporter. But yeah, same. She would call it in. She would call it in if it was.
My mom
What is it? Revenge reporting? Revenge reporting sounds
My
so
mother called my best friend. I was in high school, and she told everybody she possibly could, and I lost all my friends. And if this existed, I guarantee you that on a bad day, on a day that she took the bottle very seriously, and she was drinking, she would absolutely report at me.
And the worst part is that she, like my mom, would probably get on a soapbox right after and tell others, look what I just did, in case your kids are gay too.
Right.
Do this.
Right.
And this even extends to cohabitation and premarital. Are we living in the Bible days? Like, are we in 2000 BC? Oh my God!
Jamal,
like that. It seems like it.
Doing this show tonight in Jakarta. You and I leave. We go. Let's have a vodka, and we decide. No, let's go back to the hotel, and we have sex. we have violated the law and can be arrested.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is, it is so funny when you know, this story has been in the works, or this law has been in the works for a number of years. It's been postponed and postponed and postponed. I don't quite understand how they got the cojones to be able to do it. A highly sexualized observation of how they got to the point of doing this now, because they've been considering it for quite a long time. It would be laughable. This is ridiculously laughable to think you're going to tell an adult population, Muslim or not, that you're not going to have sex.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's in all factors of this. That's what they're saying. That unless you are legally married, you may no longer have sex in Indonesia. Now, that's not just a gay thing, because
Everybody has sex.
Those heteros like sex too.
like
A lot. That's how we got here.
and it's so
That
crazy.
is true. That's how we got here.
That's how we got here. And you know, the other thing that I think is very funny, the critical academic observation is that, well, this won't be enforced broadly. I don't think that that's the point. I think the point is that they want to send a psychological message
Yeah.
of fear, that they're creating fear. And gosh, in a weird way, hats off to them in a creative way of trying to stamp out LGBT. Because you can use the hammer and sickle approach of Putin, you're going to talk about Putin tonight, and just go, it's propaganda, banned, period. That's not what Indonesia is doing. Fly all of the rainbow flags you want. Just don't touch him.
Right. Well, how well is this going to execute with you're banding together LGBT with premarital sex, and you have adults who are cops who are going to want to have sex, you know, who are like, I'm not going to enforce this. I want to see how the people come together.
It's impossible. We have, I read a very interesting op-ed on the Indonesian law, and they compared it to Americans' experience with prohibition. People like alcohol, so you can't pass a law that prevents them from doing what they enjoy.
Right.
Now that was alcohol.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about sex.
You're talking about bootlegging sex. There you go.
The vehicle.
It's not what they're pursuing,
Yes.
but it's completely unenforceable.
Right.
Jamal and I, tonight in Jakarta, can still have sex.
And hopefully the volcano
Yay.
will erupt.
Ooh, nice.
Oh yay! Ooh.
I mean, it tore
Something's gonna
them up
erupt.
years ago. Maybe it'll tear them up again.
Okay.
Get them straight.
All right. Don't go to Indonesia. I'm a
No.
travel supporter. Don't
Why?
go to
Why bother?
Indonesia.
No.
Why bother going somewhere they don't want
Come
to?
to South Florida.
And I hope somebody, I hope somebody shares
Fort
this
Lauderdale.
in Indonesia, where we're saying in Florida. Don't go there. Just
Yeah.
flatly. Don't
Right.
even
Yeah.
consider going there. All right. Well, next we're going to queer up drag culture. Are you listening, RuPaul? As Tennessee wants to criminalize drag shows. Filed by State Senator Majority Leader Jack Johnson, Tennessee's new anti-drag bill is similar to others proposed in legislation in Idaho and Texas, but it goes a step farther. It aims to classify drag as an adult cabaret, i.e., categorize it as something sexual rather than multidisciplinary art form that it is. This would ban it from all public performances where there are any chance children could see it and result in jail time for any violators. The targets are pretty much clear. Drag queen brunches, drag queen story hours, and especially the annual Pride Parade or Pride events. Queens often give daytime performances before all age crowds. Eureka O'Hara is a co-host of HBO's We're Here and a Tennessee-born drag performer from RuPaul's Drag Race who sings with Sarah Potenza and Katie Caden on the new single Big Mama. She said, quote, "Our intention as drag queens or queer people is not to take away from any other group of people or from families or from children," end quote. She added that drag shows are there only to help uplift their life and that is their only agenda. Drag has been a popular target for the right over the last year, spurred along by social accounts like libs of TikTok spreading hate and misinformation under the guise of protecting children. Drag queen story hours in California, Oregon, and Ohio have drawn angry protesters, some of them armed, and physical squabbles have even broken out at hosting venues. You know, the word tonight seems to be Webster's word of the year in terms of gaslight. Why is this happening? RuPaul's been around. She came to the stage really in the VH1 talk show in 1994. We are nearly 30 years post that. Yeah. And no one ever, I brought RuPaul to Sawmill twice. No one ever even dreamed, no matter how radical, no matter how right-wing, no matter how evangelical you were, nobody ever even dreamed of thinking of this line of thought. So why is it going on in started in 21 and definitely become topical in 22, along with Don't Say Gay, the Disney attacks, etc.? Why? Why? What's going on? Well, it's all about power and money, because they don't have good ideas. And the only way that they can fight the people that have good ideas is culture war.
Turn them into enemies.
And turn them into enemies. Yeah. That's what we're watching. That's what this bill is designed to do. It's gaslighting. Textbook, open Webster's. Oh, there's the definition. And the president of this state senator in Tennessee's picture is right there. That's the way you do it.
I also think that they're pleasure Nazis. Like, these people must...
Pleasure Nazis.
Yes, these people want to join in the fun. Yeah. I really believe people are jealous of being LGBT. Like, why can't I be that fabulous? Why can't I be that drag queen? Look at him. He looks like he needs some makeup.
Probably,
and some hair. He really does need to be on We Are Here when they change him, over.
Right. Yeah.
And all of these people we have talked about. Yeah, all of these people we've talked about. All of these people we've talked about tonight.
You know, I'm sorry, because I want you to jump in. You know, that's an interesting point, because we do see that. And the story of Jerry Falwell Jr. is exactly very interesting.
Right? So drag as an adult cabaret. How about Hooters? All right, like Hooters, I have been groomed since I started to show, okay, by a million men
on the Hooters.
And okay, Hooters is great, but I mean, just think about it, okay? Or Coyote Ugly. Do you guys remember Coyote Ugly, the movie? And then all of a sudden, all those bars started popping up with the hot girls and G-strings. All right, so then you didn't see any of the men trying to close that down. Right. You know, it's ridiculous. I am so tired of that word groomer. Like, I want to completely exit out of my memory and never use it and never hear it. I hate it.
Well, this might be a good time for Dolly Parton, patron saint of Tennessee, to speak up and set the people of her tainted state straight, so to speak. Yeah. Right? I mean, think of all those Dolly Parton impersonators now who would get busted on the streets in Tennessee.
That's right.
True.
Right?
You know, one other observation too, Webster's gaslighting is the word of the year. Maybe that's what we should be saying. You know, I have many friends that are starting to say, you know, I did the Fauci interview and we talked about Larry Kramer and ACT UP, and I'm hearing more and more and more in conversation that what we are going to have to do is adopt the ACT UP model in 1988 and start to really get much stronger and vocal in our response to this. And maybe that's what we do. When this grooming nonsense, what happened here in Fort Lauderdale, we have to start screaming gaslighting back. And we have to be as vocally charged. There is some reasonable argument that might be something that is beneficial for us.
That's my next rally sign. That's it. Gaslighting. I'm just going to stand with that. That's it.
Well, let's queer up LGBTQ plus civil rights. Obama says gay marriage law arrives like a thunderbolt. Barack Obama was still in his chair at the Resolute desk in the Oval Office in 2015 when the Supreme Court, then with a different conservative liberal balance, recognized the right to marriage equality in Oberville versus Hodges. In a recent social media post, Obama remembers that June day, recalling at the time how he cautioned that, quote, progress often comes in small increments, sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back, end quote. But there are other occasions, as Obama notes, citing the federal government's codifying marriage equality by passing the Respect for Marriage Act, quote, when slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt, end quote. A student and product of the civil rights movement, especially as in practiced in America in the 1960s, Obama is deeply familiar with progress in small increments. The Post says, quote, by mandating the federal recognition of the same-sex marriages, the Respect for Marriage Act brings us closer to preserving the fundamental right of every American to marry who they love. It's a landmark moment in the fight for equality and a tribute to the generations of Americans, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, neighbors and friends, whose example and advocacy have done more than any law to change hearts and minds. This is their victory and a powerful reminder that together we can continue to perfect our union, end quote. And of course, Barack Obama is still my president and will forever continually be my personal president. I don't give a care what the polls say. That's my president speaking, and he spoke wonderfully, and I just love his brilliance and how he masterfully just puts it all. After reading all of that, he just masterfully puts it all together. Like, this is what we should be focused on, you know?
Yeah.
You know, this is what brings families together. This is what brings communities together.
He was so controlled when he was in office, Jamaal.
So
I mean, like, it's so sad because I was so drunk throughout the Obama administration that I don't remember most of the stuff he did. Unfortunately, I got sober in 2014. So there's that. But I remember I was reading up on the defense of marriage back in 2011, you know, where he was trying to get that repealed. So I really feel that he did love our community a lot more. He just was so controlled because, of course, being the first black president, he probably wasn't able to say most things that he wanted to say, you know? Right. Wasn't he the first person to say trans or something like that also? I can't remember exactly, but I mean, you could just tell that when he did try to speak to our community, you know, it was in little increments, you know, and this explains a lot where he would say, okay, sometimes the slow and steady wins the race kind of deal, you know? But the rest of us are like obliterated over like what's happened to our community. But I understand what he's trying to say.
He took lots of criticism as a first-term senator for Illinois. He was not for gay marriage. He absolutely was not for gay marriage, and
even though he marched in the Pride Parade.
Yes,
in Chicago.
and exactly, and he took a lot of shit for that. And then when he started to say in his philosophy on gay marriage that I've evolved, and he started using the word evolved, that I've really committed to learning more and more and more about LGBTQ rights and the implications of the legal aspects of things like marriage. He got shit for evolving, and a whole different cadre of people just condemned him and condemned him and condemned him for the move. When he made this statement about the lightning bolt, it really, in my opinion, with the exception of Nancy Pelosi saying the finest moment of my political career is the last act that I did, the last vote that I will do. That was beautiful too.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think is so amazing of his Thunderbolt observation is it just reminds me how much we need a Barack Obama today in 2022.
Yes.
Barack Obama had an ability, you think on their side, their leadership voices are like Ted Cruz or Mitch McConnell. Pound, pound, hate, hate, pound, hate, pound.
Yeah.
Barack Obama comes to Georgia in an incredibly important Senate race twice over the course of 3 weeks and talks about Herschel Walker in Georgia, arguing in advocacy against a black man in Georgia running for U.S. Senate, and does it brilliantly. And he does it brilliantly not because of pound and hate. He does it in joke and humor. And he humanized the situation so well that you go, oh my gosh, that's absolutely a bullseye. And Herschel Walker is defeated, and his voice and many others did it. But it was just a reminder to me, gosh, we have so much to thank Barack Obama for in our LGBTQ community, and we're searching for another one of you. And if you can help us find him or her, please,
Thank you.
Yes.
Or they, or them.
Whatever,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
We need one, because for us to get out of this malaise of pound and hate, we need a Barack Obama
Yes.
or whoever
Yes,
that's.
or re-elect Obama because Faye has not experienced Obama. So she needs to experience.
I do, but by what I remember, no president had more swag than Obama.
You can't.
And social media.
You can't.
All right?
You can't.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church right here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m. with more than 30,000 watching every week.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon James from America's Got Talent, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Well, we're going to finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
In LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News, let's queer up the USA view. From LGBTQ plus news partner, LGBTQ Nation, and writer Greg Owen. Conservatives rage about drag and queer bingo events, leads bar targeted by a drive-by shooting. The Brewmasters tap room in Raritan, Washington, just south of Seattle, was hit by a single gunshot to their front window in a drive-by shooting around noon on Wednesday. The pub's monthly drag queen storytime and rainbow bingo events went on as planned on Saturday. Brewmaster's owner, Marley Raleigh, told LGBTQ Nation she was working at home when she got a text from an employee at the coffee stand next door to the pub. Quote, "They just texted me and said, hey, I just watched this," end quote. Raleigh said the assailant had removed the license plates from the car and was wearing a mask and gloves. Read more at lgbtqnation.com.
In LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News, let's queer up health. From LGBTQ plus news partner Plus and writer Andrew Stillman. Walmart expands HIV services with help from Elton John. Walmart continues to evolve on how it treats marginalized employees and customers. The nation's largest retailer recently announced a partnership with the Elton John AIDS Foundation to expand awareness of HIV treatment and prevention options. Last year, Walmart released its first 3 specialty pharmacies of the community called SPOCs, which feature HIV-trained pharmacists, enhanced care coordination, healthy lifestyle recommendations, and emotional support services from our community health workers. To double down on these efforts, the company is also launching 4 new HIV-focused SPOCs that will feature pharmacy professionals and staff training with the guidance of the Elton John AIDS Foundation. You can read more at hivplusmag.com.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. From LGBTQ plus news partner Them and writer Samantha Rido, St. Petersburg, Russia LGBTQ plus exhibit closes 7 days after it opens. Russia's newest museum opened its door on November 27th. Queer News Tonight reported about it on November 30th. Unfortunately, this LGBTQ plus history museum in Russia has closed in the wake of new legislation expanding President Vladimir Putin's war on gay propaganda. Doctor and activist Prior Voskresenskiy set up a pop-up exhibition on Russian LGBTQ history in his home a week ago before he was forced to close them to the public. Putin, the architect of an already draconian 2013 law banning displays of gay propaganda like rainbow flags, has signed the legislation on Monday, forcing his museum to an abrupt but anticipated end. Read more at them.us.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspot Magazine's Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including FayWhat, Jamaal L. Starks, Grace C. Lopez, and Gregg Shapiro, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ+ community, we wish you a
good night.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+ community.